for a variety of reasons, including grave robbing, forgotten or unmarked burials, natural calamities that disturb burial grounds, and occasionally even because the deceased was not properly buried. Cemeteries all around the world have developed a reputation for being haunted by ghosts. All of that, combined with the fact that graveyards are frequently gloomy, ominous locations, makes for the ideal environment for a ghost. Come explore the top 12 haunted cemeteries. Subscribe to the channel, get some snacks ready, and let's go. 12. Colonial Park Cemetery, Savannah, Georgia. Historic Colonial Park Cemetery, often known as Colonial Cemetery locally and informally, is situated in the heart of Savannah, Georgia. In 1896, 43 years after the cemetery's last burial, it was turned into a public park. The 6-acre Colonial Park Cemetery is situated in the center of Savannah's historic district. The park-like cemetery is Savannah's oldest standing municipal graveyard and has been off-limits to burials since 1853. From 1750 to 1853, the cemetery, formerly known as the Old Cemetery, Old Brick Graveyard Cemetery, or Christ Church Cemetery, operated as the city's main public burial ground. 11. Rookwood Cemetery, Sydney, Australia. In Rookwood, Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, a cemetery known as Rookwood Cemetery, officially called Rookwood Necropolis, has been designated as a heritage site. It is the world's largest operating Victorian cemetery and the largest necropolis in the Southern Hemisphere. The cemetery is home to Sydney's sole Catholic crematorium, as well as the magnificent St. Michael the Archangel Chapel and the contemporary Mary, Mother of Mercy Chapel. The grounds are regularly updated with serene landscaping, and there are outdoor religious artworks everywhere, from the bronze statues scattered throughout the cemetery's crypt collection to the granite sculptures at the Way of the Cross. 10. Highgate Cemetery, London, England. North London, England's Highgate Cemetery is a venue for burials. The West and East cemeteries include over 53,000 graves with 170,000 individuals interred there. Highgate Cemetery is renowned for its de facto status as a natural reserve as well as for some of the people who are buried there. Highgate Cemetery, which is perched on a hill above the smog and squalor of the city, quickly gained popularity as a chic location for interments and was frequently admired and visited. 9. Valley of the Kings, Luxor, Egypt. In the past, the Valley of the Kings, which now has 63 royal tombs, was known as the Great Necropolis of millions of years of Pharaoh, or the Place of Truth. However, it was the pharaohs of the New Kingdom period, 1550 to 1069 BC, who chose this remote valley dominated by the pyramid-shaped mountain peak of Al-Qurn. Royal burials had been taking place on the west bank of Luxor since about 2100 BC, the Horn. 8. Resurrection Cemetery, Chicago. In order to serve the Polish Catholic community in the Archdiocese's southwest, Resurrection Catholic Cemetery was established. It now serves the entire Catholic population in that region. Resurrection Mary is a well-known vanishing hitchhiker-type ghost story from the Chicago area, which is a sort of folklore that is familiar from many cultures. Based in Justice, Illinois, a small town a few miles south of Chicago, the urban legend takes place at Resurrection Cemetery. Resurrection Mary is regarded as the most well-known ghost in Chicago. This young lady is described as having light blonde hair and blue eyes, and wears a white party dress that is rather formal. Other stories state that she carries a little clutch pocketbook, wears a thin shawl, wears dancing shoes, and may be very quiet. The young woman requests to be let out when the car approaches the Resurrection Cemetery, after which she vanishes inside the cemetery. 7. Westminster Burial Ground. Baltimore, Maryland, United States. A committee of distinguished gentlemen, including William Smith, John Boyd, and William Patterson, bought land on the west side of Old Baltimore town for the cemetery, which was created by the First Presbyterian Church of Baltimore in January 1787. In Baltimore, Maryland, in the United States, at 519 West Fayette Street, near North Green Street, there is a cemetery called Westminster Hall and Burying Ground. It is Edgar Allan Poe's 1809 to 1849 grave site and is located across from the Baltimore VA Hospital. In 1974, the complex was designated as a National Historic District. 6. Old Jewish Cemetery, Prague, Czechia. Along with the Old New Synagogue, the Old Jewish Cemetery is one of the oldest Jewish cemeteries still in use today and is a key location in the Prague Jewish Quarter. Early in the 15th century, it was founded. The first grave marker was placed in 1439, and the last burial occurred 348 years later. Despite several decades of cemetery expansion, the Jewish town's demands could not be adequately served. Due to a lack of room, graves were stacked up to 10 deep with bodies buried on top of one another. The cemetery has over 12,000 tombstones. Many of them are adorned with floral and animal designs. 5. Cemetery Hill, Gettysburg. On all 3 days of the Battle of Gettysburg, fighting took place on Cemetery Hill, which served as the primary location for the artillery of the Union Army. Cemetery Hill, which rises gradually to about 80 feet above the surrounding terrain, is located at the northern end of Cemetery Ridge and marks the beginning of the Union defense line's shift to the east to form the Fishhook Line to Culp's Hill. There were 3 crucial aspects of the hill. First of all, due to its mild slope, it was a great place to defend against the infantry tactics of the day. Second, it commanded vast swathes of the town and other areas of the battlefield, making it an excellent artillery position with broad fields of fire, in contrast to the nearby Culp's Hill, which was thickly wooded. Thirdly, and perhaps most significantly, it served as a crossroads for 3 vital routes that headed south: Emmitsburg Road, Taneytown Road, and the Baltimore Pike. 4. Stoll Cemetery, Kansas. The tiny, nearly forgotten Kansas village of Stoll is home to Stoll Cemetery and the abandoned church that sits next to it. Except for a few houses, not much of the tiny community is still standing. The population of the area is said to include some people who are extraterrestrial, though. In addition to the town's human residents, Emmanuel Hill in Stoll is the site of several legends and bizarre stories related to the old church that is in disrepair and the overgrown cemetery. The old cemetery has been the subject of rumors of witches, ghosts, and paranormal events for many years. Some people believe it to be one of the 7 entrances to hell. 3. Howard Street Cemetery, Salem, Massachusetts. The historic Howard Street Cemetery in Salem, Massachusetts, has been there since 1801. The 2.5-acre cemetery, which has 1,100 headstones, is situated near to the former Salem jail. It was an open field before it became a cemetery, and that's where Giles Corey, a victim of the Salem witch trials, is thought to have been crushed to death by Sheriff George Corwin in 1692. Corey is said to still haunt the cemetery, and it is said that his ghost frequently manifests there just before a sad incident occurs in the community. Because the roadway it is situated on was known at the time as Branch Street, the field was turned into a cemetery and given the name Branch Street Cemetery in 1801. The graveyard's earliest gravestone was erected on August 5, 1801, following the death of second mate Benjamin Ropes, who was crushed to death while launching the ship Belisarius foretopmast. 2. Creepy Oak Cemetery, Austin. Although Oakwood Cemetery was only formally founded in the 1850s, it is also thought that previous settlers who perished in a Comanche attack are buried here. It may be found downtown Austin at 1601 Navasota Street. This 40-acre facility may appear quiet and serene to some visitors, but others have a quite different impression of it. There are more than 23,000 graves here. However, some individuals think that not everyone has left this life. General Thomas Greene, a fallen Confederate soldier from the Civil War, may also be a ghost that resides here. 1. Greyfriars Kirkyard, Edinburgh, Scotland. The cemetery that surrounds Greyfriars Kirk in Edinburgh, Scotland, is called Greyfriars Kirkyard. It is situated next to George Heriot's School at the southernmost point of the old town. The Kirkyard is well known across the world and draws thousands of tourists each year who come to explore the grounds, view the historical tombs, and perhaps even catch a glimpse of a ghostly figure strolling among the tombs. Author J.K. Rowling is credited as drawing inspiration for the Harry Potter books from a particular grave. In this collection, you'll find tales of ferocious ghosts, a devoted dog, body snatchers, and beloved fantasy characters. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell notification icon, so you'll be notified when we drop another video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.